So thanks to the cafe for hosting, but also thank you to Sustrans for hosting this. As Dermot said, this is my first event, or public event, speaking in the new role. And there's an odd symmetry to Sustrans hosting this and my first event here. I grew up in Bristol, so unlike the two people up here, I'm not from the north of England, but I grew up in Bristol. And my first memory of a good bike ride was on a Sustrans cycle track. So I learnt to cycle in parks, in car parks, on dodgy streets, on pavements with broken curbs around Bristol. But the first time I went out for a cycle ride that I remember, that was an adventure, that was fun, that was part of it, was on a Sustrans cycle route between Bristol and Bath, cycling along the converted railway track. You know, these memories make a huge impact, and it's great to see some younger people in the room. Those first memories, those first positive memories of experiences make a massive impact and set behaviour over the life pattern. So I'm really grateful for Sustrans for providing me with that, and I do believe that part of that might be why I've been cycling for so long, and I hopefully contributed to why I've got this job, and certainly why I'm so excited about getting this job. But there's a second reason I'm particularly pleased that I'm here with Sustrans. It's actually taking a moment to reflect on Sustrans' vision. And Sustrans' vision, for those of you who don't remember or haven't got it to hand, is we want to make more journeys to be made by bike, foot, and public transport. So we want to make more journeys to be made by bike, foot, and public transport. Now that is very, very similar to the vision that we set out in Healthy Streets. You know, how do we get more people walking, more people cycling, more. I'm not rapping. More people using public transport in London to get around, solving some of the challenges around congestion, but also addressing health and well-being of Londoners, which, as Val mentioned, is so important. When I look around meetings like this, as Dermot said, I've done, I worked at Nike for 4 years, and a lot of that was talking about how to get people active or doing sport. You look around meetings like this, and sometimes I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. If I look around, quite a lot of you clearly walked or came by bike or regularly do that, which is fantastic. Most of us look fairly active, and I think we can sort of really show how that everyday activity in our lives can add to physical health and make us feel good about ourselves as well. But I hate to break this to you, that not everyone in this room, myself included, we are not normal. If you look at... Wonderful, we have someone who is normal. Thank you, I was speaking more personally, but I am not normal. The figures in London today really show that I think about only 34% of Londoners today are reaching the 20 minutes of activity in a day. Now that's not 20 minutes in one massive chunk. That's not 20 minutes on a treadmill. That's talking about 10 minutes of walking, 5 minutes of walking with a slightly raised heartbeat, or cycling on a regular basis. And I think if that changed, if we could get more Londoners working, our ambition is to get, you know, it would be wonderful to have all Londoners hitting that 20 minutes of activity a day as part of their daily lives. I think the most recent analysis that I saw showed that it would save the NHS about £1.7 billion over a 25-year period, I think. But numbers and big numbers, everybody likes to quote a big statistic, particularly in forums like this, and it's it's supposed to be how you can incentivize people to take this seriously. I think all of us can attest to the personal benefits of having that active lifestyle, of building that activity into our daily lives through physical health, which I think Val mentioned, but also mental health. I read somewhere that if people walk, there was you can quote me on this, but I'll send you the reference that I read it in. But it was if people walk for more than 8 minutes a day, they're 33% less likely to suffer from mental health problems, which is an astonishing change. But also, there's economic benefits for being more active. We save money. We save, there's more money in our pocket, and that money can get shared around to local businesses like this and create those thriving community organisations. So as I said, our ambition here is not to just allow the 34% of London to benefit from those benefits, to gain from those benefits. It's about how can we allow all Londoners to have this active lifestyles, to be walking and cycling. And as Val said, the easiest way, as I think probably everyone in this room knows, the easiest way is not necessarily for people to join gyms or to go swimming or hit a treadmill. It is about building it into everyday life. It is about active, sustainable travel. It's about making it habit, not a chore. It's about making it fun. It's about building that walking and cycling into everyday life. And as Val said, getting on public transport, as opposed to private car use, encourages walking. You know, if you've got to walk to the bus stop, you get off the tube stop earlier. It's building that activity into everyday life and bringing with it all the benefits that we know. But I think it's also important to recognise that not everybody in London wants to cycle. Not everyone in London feels that they can cycle. Certainly not large distances. And I think why this broader agenda around the healthy streets of thinking about sustainable active travel is so inclusive for everybody. It's not just one particular mode of transport. It is a change in behaviour. It's a change in culture for Londoners, for the benefit of all of us. And so this shift away from private car use towards cycling, towards walking, is at the heart of what we want to achieve with the Healthy Streets agenda. Now, I came into my job on Monday, and it was off the back of a truly tragic week. There were 3 cycle deaths on London streets, and 2 pedestrians died that week. And I think that those people being killed, I think I mentioned in one of the interviews I did last week, because it was devastating for Londoners and Londoners. And I think it emphasises why it is so important that we are focusing on improving in safety and putting in the right infrastructure and services for people to get around London safely as well as actively. And coming into the job, I'm delighted to see how committed the mayor is and the whole team are to that agenda. As Val said, there's a significant budget behind the Active Streets agenda, as well as including cycling. And I'm really excited to be looking at how do we put more quality infrastructure into London, thinking about pedestrianising Oxford Street, a bridge between Rotherhithe and Canary Wharf, as well as, and I think somebody mentioned this earlier, the outer boroughs, the living neighbourhood programme of how we can actually drive that change in the outer boroughs, not just focusing on inner city London, which is a risk. And then obviously, of course, improving and expanding the cycle network. As Dermot said earlier, it's 10 days into my job. And for the first few days, I've been meeting a lot of people. I've been talking to some of the people in this room. I look forward to talking to more of the people in this room, as well as getting out and about and seeing some of the challenges firsthand. You know, I've been bombarded by bits of paper and road junctions that I hadn't necessarily heard of before. And as an anthropologist, there's nothing better than actually going out and seeing it firsthand, hearing from people themselves. So that has been one of my priorities coming into this job, seeing some of those challenges firsthand. And there are challenges ahead. Nobody is saying that this shift, and this significant, radical, bold shift, is going to be easy. It is going to be a challenge. And coming into the role, I'm really committed to working with my GLA colleagues, with colleagues from TfL, with the boroughs, with businesses and local communities to really drive through the changes that we know that are necessary. But I want to address you guys in the room as well. The cycling and sustainable transport community are a critical partner for this to go forward. I was sort of reflecting on the way over here of some of the things that you bring to the debate. And since my announcement, I have been it's reinforced my knowledge and my awareness of how you continue to push us to do better, to deliver more, to deliver faster and improve the infrastructure. Please continue to do that. I was slightly shocked how there is no shyness among this community in doing that. Let's put it this way. But at the same time, while I've had all sorts of messages, texts, letters, all sorts of things coming in about making London's cycling infrastructure stronger, supporting the walking agenda, supporting the healthy seats, trying to change things, I've had so many other letters opposing that. And I think that the opposition to this agenda is there, and it is articulate, and it is strong. And so I'm also a huge fan of this community here in terms of providing the support for the schemes, doing that public support, giving, writing to people, articulating why this is important. It can't just come from us at the front here. It can't just come from TIFA. We play a critical role, and my job is all about that. But this is a partnership with a wider community to drive a much bigger change across London. So I've slightly abused my, my introduction, which I think I was meant to introduce myself, but I want to wrap up and quickly just by saying I'm really genuinely excited about coming into this role. I think there's a fantastic opportunity to drive a really long-lasting generational change in London for the better. I'm hugely grateful to my predecessor and the previous administrations for setting the foundations to allow us to really gain on that now. So my job is about how can we making the most of this opportunity, pushing the right people to make sure that this gets driven through, and really, really making London more active so that everybody has the opportunity to be healthier, happier, and more successful in this great city. And I very much look forward to working with you guys in the room. Please keep pushing us, but also don't direct all your traffic towards us. We need to work together to take on the people opposing this agenda in all sorts of ways. So thank you very much. Thanks for coming this evening, and look forward to taking some of your questions.